Luxor, Egypt. Here, along the east bank of the Nile River, lie the archaeological remains of the vast Karnak temple complex, dating to the 32nd century BC. With its numerous structures, including great halls, obelisks, and an avenue of sphinxes, Karnak represents the combined achievement of many generations of Egypt's ancient builders.
When one travels to Luxor and gazes upon the Karnak temple, we see large pillars, oversized obelisks, and what's very amazing about this area is that it's one of the few places where over 30 pharaohs contributed to its sheer size and wealth of knowledge over a vast period of time.
For centuries, archaeologists and scholars have considered Karnak to be one of the most dramatic examples of the remarkable technological ability of early man. But do the construction techniques used in building these incredible monuments reveal evidence of something more, something not of this earth?
When we start looking at hieroglyphs, we are amazed as to how beautiful and how carefully they have been carved. The technology which we see is clearly of a perfection which is beautiful and almost makes our heart cry whenever you come face to face with it.
Experts believe the most impressive evidence of advanced machining can be found on Karnak's tall, four-sided tapering monuments called obelisks.
The obelisk is carved with the same inscriptions on four sides, and they're all exactly the same, and they're beautifully cut and articulated hieroglyphs into this red granite stone.
We would look at it today and say it had to be some sort of machine that carved these things out. For example, there were slots. They were only 0.14 inches wide, ½ inch deep. When you look inside, you can see the bottom of them were made by a rotating tool. So this was a tool that punched in, came out, stepped down, punched in, came out. The human hand, no matter how good you are, can never do that. The tool marks themselves, the precision, the depth, the rotating impressions that were made were not done by hand. Some of those were so precisely engraved as to require machine tools to do it. The toolkit that we see that the ancient Egyptians were supposed to use, there's no way that any of those tools could produce the results that we saw.
To many scholars, the apparent precision used in the construction of the obelisks at Karnak suggests a 21st century level of expertise.
Precision is what our civilization is built on. To craft something to within 2/10,000ths of an inch or 1/1000th of an inch is quite common today because that tolerance or that precision is necessary and it has purpose.
But how can we explain such precision in ancient construction?
If you look at the Ramses statue, it is so perfect that you wonder how this was even done with allegedly primitive tools, because today we could only do this with machines.
So the way we check the symmetry of the Ramses statue is to take two images of the same photographs, make transparencies, and compare the left to the right. We flip it over and bring it over the original. And as we can see, we have a perfect match. The ancient Egyptians were very skilled at working granite. I cannot see how they could have created what they created with the tools that are commonly accepted to have been in the ancient Egyptians' toolbox, such as copper chisels, or stone chisels, wooden mallets, stone balls.
But if, As many historians and archaeologists contend, the ancient builders did not possess the equivalent of modern tools. How were these monuments built with such mathematical precision? Perhaps the answer can be found by comparing an example of ancient sculpture with one made by more modern methods.
We can compare the aluminum model, the face machine, the striations coming down the face with the striations coming down the face of the statue of Karnak in Egypt. And also the tool marks, so where we see above the eyebrow, the dig-in right there, where it kind of shows us what kind of tools or the shape of the tools that they used. So the elements that bring this machining to ancient statue are not just the symmetry, but also the geometry, the precision, and the tool marks. And we have all three elements in modern machining and ancient statuary. It's an enormously difficult thing to do by hand without introducing some mechanical assistance. Seems to me to be impossible.
But if the tool marks seen on the Ramses statue appear identical to those made by modern methods, wouldn't it prove that the ancient builders had access to machines, and perhaps even electricity?
They allegedly did not have electricity, power tools. Supposedly they didn't have diamond saws. But yet, they're doing things that would require precision work, precision tools. So where did they get those things? How could they have had these advanced machining tools that we've only just acquired ourselves today in our civilization? So one answer would have to be they've gotten it from ancient aliens.